Keen to start a business and live life on his own terms, my next guest set off on an entrepreneurial journey that has seen him open 3 very successful restaurants across the city of Nairobi. It's all about the business of life as we live out loud with Cafe Deli's Chef Obado next. Hello and welcome to Sheila Lives Out Loud. My name is Sheila Mwanyege and I welcome you to this channel. Please click subscribe and remember to hit notifications so that when we upload future episodes, you never get to miss out. And we are living out loud at the waterfront. Karen, this is East Africa's premier destination for lifestyle and wellness. If you're seeking to set up shop or expand your business, this is where you should be. And we're living out loud with Chef Obado. He truly is one of my favorite Kenyan entrepreneurs. His journey is one to marvel at. And Chef, I'm so grateful that you've made the time to impart wisdom. Tell us a little bit about the business of life. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Chef, I've talked with you many times before and I find your journey quite inspirational because you decided you wanted to live life on your own terms. You studied as a chef, you trained with the very best, you even got the job of so many people's dreams, but you walked away. Let's go there.
Every time I got a new job, I would get impatient very, very fast. And by the age of 24, I was already a pastry chef, which was unheard of in those days. So I thought myself, was I going to work for the next 20, 30 years in the same position? And as usual, I knew my impatience, so I thought I needed something else to push me. And that's how I ended up thinking I need to get out now. I need to do something for myself. And that's how my dream started.
All right. In saying to yourself, I need to get out now, I need to start something for myself, what did you do? Did you talk to family and say, ebu munipatie mchango, nataka kufungua bakery? How did you go about taking that leap of faith?
My dreams started way earlier because I had already started buying stuff in my, for the business at home and doing small stuff at home, selling cake from my house. But again, I realized that I wouldn't be able to do it on my own. So I approached a few friends to partner. And we partnered. But of course, you learn lessons as you partner with friends because the way you see them or the way you relate when you're working together is very different from when you actually now get into real business. Because now that's when you actually know that probably this guy is lazy, or probably this guy is likes the good life, and you don't. So that's when you actually get to know the real people.
So you're already learning lessons about life. One, when it's time to jump out of the frying pan, jump out of the frying pan.
Absolutely.
There are people who will jump with you, but just because they're jumping with you doesn't mean they're going where you're going.
Absolutely.
So that's another lesson learned in entrepreneurship.
True.
And of course life.
One of the biggest lessons I still working on even today is managing people and understanding what people would want, because we come from different backgrounds and people see things differently. We all, of course, want profit, we want to have a more comfortable life, but the approach is usually very different depending on how people look at when it comes to maintaining standards and creating new ideas. People look at them differently, and that part of managing people is something that I still grapple with even today. The
last time I interviewed you, I was listening to your journey and I was thinking to myself, I do want to go into business, I do want to create something, I do want to make something, because I could see myself in so much of what you were saying. And then I went into business and then I thought to myself, Chef Obado, you didn't tell me about this part and this part and this part. But I suppose that's the very nature of business. There's certain things that a business will teach you that nobody else can tell you about.
I tell people, if you get into a business with your friend, your relative, or anybody you know, don't use the trust. Write things down, because that is what will help you when the time comes when you need to part. And that helped me because we had written things down. And it was a company, so I needed to sell my shares back to them because I had to leave. So whatever little that I managed to get from the sale of the shares is what I started off with. And I said, okay, I will start with whatever I have. And I realized that I couldn't do what I had planned to do immediately. So I started as small as I could. But of course I had a dream. I knew exactly where I wanted to go. I knew I was going to put in a lot of work to achieve that dream. And I actually put in so much. I believed from the beginning that referrals are what was going to make me be a brand. So I started working on my product. And that is one thing that I still work on till today. I have a bigger company today. I have more qualified staff. But there's one thing I've refused to let go: product. I still work on the product. I make sure that the product is of the highest standards possible. So when I started with that kitchen, I made sure that the product was right, and I was going to be part of it from the beginning of making that product all the way to where it reached the customer. But of course, I needed to also create people who could understand what I wanted. So I started training people immediately, because I knew in the future I would not be able to do everything myself. So I started creating trainees to take over.
You were delegating from the word go.
Absolutely.
And for a lot of entrepreneurs, when you start, you do everything, but you're not necessarily teaching others to do what you're doing, because you keep thinking, I hired you, but you just don't do it right. You just don't do it right. It's okay. I'll do it myself. I'll do it myself. Yes. And then you find you're losing sleep. You find that you're exhausted all the time. You
get overwhelmed.
And then when it's payday, you're asking yourself, what do I pay you for? Because I'm the one who does this work anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the things that I sometimes reflect on today is that I realized at that point I wanted everyone to get to my level at the same time. I ended up being a bit rough with some of my staff because I was pushing them too hard. Today, some of my staff keep saying, you changed, but I didn't change because I just wanted them to be at my level. Now that they have reached a level where I believe they can do stuff, I just let them do whatever they need to do.
It's easy because now you know they see it the way you do.
True. Just like we say in business, making the product is the easy part. Selling it is the hard part. I was a chef. I wasn't trained in marketing, but I had to learn. Those are things that you learn on the go. So long as you know you have a good product, it becomes very easy to sell. So long as you get the product right, it becomes very, very easy to sell. So I started getting out there to sell to people, and the people who got the product actually did sell it for me, because I got a lot of referrals, and I still get referrals till today. People still believe Cafe Deli is cake, but Cafe Deli has gone way beyond cake.
And I'm curious, I'm itching to get to opening the first store. How did you, those are many referrals. If you were able to, open the first store, how did that happen?
Well, I used to supply a restaurant in town. And at one point, they decided that they wanted to sell off the restaurant. So I thought, let me bid. I didn't have the money, but I said, let me bid. If I get it, fine. If I don't get it, so be it. So I bidded. And interestingly, it was a very interesting journey, because I always remember the manager I went to speak to, and she came in, looked at my establishment, and told me, you know what, we don't give money to people, because I know you, I like you, but we don't loan money to people. We loan monies to systems. Your systems don't look like they can be able to pay up whatever you're asking for. And whatever she offered was about 10% of what these guys were asking for. Wow. So I said, okay, I now need to realize that we need to work on systems, because systems actually is what makes business. And I learned my lessons there. 2 years ago, I met her, and she was like, I believed in you, but you didn't have systems then.
You weren't ready then.
Yes. But now I am willing to give you anything you ask for. I said, okay, I don't want the money now. I'm
but
fine.
But now I'm fine. Thank you anyway.
Yes.
I'll remember that.
Yes.
Okay. So you had to find another place.
Of course, I bid it, and I got an offer. I started looking around. I found people who are my friends. Of course, you usually have these friends who you think, well, this guy has money. This guy has chums. So you walk to them and say, okay, listen, I have this great idea. If we partner, you put in your money, we'll make money. Of course, nobody believes you because you've never done a business and succeeded. Right. Today, if I came to you and asked you for money, you'll be like, this guy can pay.
Yeah,
because
I probably would, because I look at your track record.
Absolutely. So I'm walking into guys' offices and asking them whether they could help me out. Some were asking for way exorbitant rates. I said, okay, I will walk into anybody. So I walked into a friend's office and he told me, okay. Because once I had given him my story and told him the plan that I had, he told me, if you can't give the same story to someone, I'm sure these people will give you money. So he sent me to a company in Westlands. Yeah. And we had a talk. I gave them my story. By the time we were almost done, we were not just sitting with one person. We were sitting with 3 other managers to discuss the whole idea because I looked very convincing. So one of the things that I've learned in business is that it's never about the capital. It's never about just the dream. It's about you believing in this thing that we want to do. So much that you can actually convince anyone to give you money. The idea is you actually have a product, you believe in it so much that when you go and talk to anyone, people are willing to give out money to you.
They can
then
see it.
You are sure that that is going to succeed. Because you have to convince yourself, then convince another and another. Because it is a business. You're going to have to convince so many other people.
Yeah, it's all about convincing people. And really,
Absolutely.
that's the long and short of business. Convincing people that this is a good buy, that this is a good bet, that this is a good deal.
Yes.
But you did.
Yes.
And you got your first location.
I got my first location. I can tell you for free that the first week, I didn't sleep. It was one of the toughest times I've ever had in my life. When I was working to get the loan, I was given the records that I used to bid for the loan. But I remember the day I was handed over the keys. The records I found were totally different from what I had been given before by the sellers. So this was a shocker because I had planned based on the records that I had been given. So one of the things that I learned is that most people don't sell businesses that are working. They sell businesses that are not working. So as much as we do due diligence, chances are you will get in there and not be to get what they told you.
It's always nice to cover up a few bits and pieces here that are not quite shiny.
So yeah, that really was a game changer for me because I understood that when you're doing due diligence, you have to go beyond just trusting that person who is trying to sell you a product. You have to go beyond that. When we get to start a business, or when we get to start being employed, we are never taught how to manage money. And you get out of college, you get out of school, and you get a job, and at the end of the month, they just give you a salary. And they didn't tell you how much you're supposed to spend on rent, how much you're supposed to save, how much you're supposed to spend on whatever you. So you end up having money and you don't know how to spend it. So some people will spend 80% on entertainment. And then 2 weeks or 1 week down the line, they don't have any monies. So I trained myself from the beginning to start a saving culture. That I started way earlier, even before I was employed. I remember I started at the Norfolk. We used to be given 400 shillings for the whole month. And that was supposed to be our fare. But I used to save 200 shillings. So I used to spend 200 and save 200. So I trained myself to save. And two, I have also learned to pay up my debts. And that has created trust from whoever loans me money and anybody else I've dealt with when it comes to finances. I pay up, and it's a discipline that I've gotten used to. So that paying up, and coupled with the fact that I have always learned how to save, and always had this idea that delayed gratification is better.
Looking at what you've been able to achieve now, because it was a kitchen, then it was a branch, then it was a second location, and then it was a third location. What's next, Chef?
I have seen a lot of international brands coming into Kenya, and I've worked with international brands, and I've gotten to know that they're not any better than us. So one thing that I now want to work towards is to create a brand that becomes international. Something that is homegrown, something that we are proud of as Kenyans, and be proud that we are able to compete at the highest level in business. And we are working towards that. We have created a brand that is, the standards are so high that we know at now that those international brands are actually copying from us. And we are happy to know that they are actually copying from us.
You're a pace setter. You're right there setting the pace, and they're catching up and, you know, trying to keep up with you. And that's a good thing. In talking about business and looking at how your life has unfolded, there's one angle that I must put on the table, and I know you're very private, but family. You know, a business is so demanding, and starting out is always very difficult because it takes up all your time, it takes up all your energy, and there are many entrepreneurs who are just literally being choked to death by their own businesses. Being able to separate yourself from the business, to have a family, to have some time off, how important is that? What has the business taught you about that side of your life?
Having known from the beginning that I wanted to create a brand that was way beyond me, I understood that I needed people to take over certain functions. I don't even know how my procurement happens today. Because if you came, my friends call me and say, tell me, hey, I have some chicken. I think you should think about taking them. And I'm like, I don't know how they take, where they even pick the chickens from.
Right.
Because I have given that function to a procurement department, and they do their part.
Yeah.
They know exactly what I want. They understand my standards. And when people call me, I tell them, hey, go to procurement, talk to them. If they accept, I will just sanction. But if you cannot meet those standards, please, you're my friend, let's stay friends.
Let's stay friends.
Yes.
Let's not muddy the waters here. And that's a very important lesson from business.
So that has created a lot of time for me.
Yeah.
So eventually, a lot of burden has gone to my colleagues and has left me with pursuing my vision, which is now less cumbersome and gives me a lot of time for my family and other things to do.
In listening to you talking about delegating and letting others run the show and run with the show, you go back to the vision stage and the creativity stage of the business. And that is so important for any business, no matter what stage that business is in. It's important for somebody to be dreaming, to be up there saying, we need to go with this direction. Here's untapped fields that we need to consider. And if you're not dreaming about the business, then you're down here pambaning. It's wrapping its cords around your neck day by day by day. And at some point, you actually fall off the grid and you quit.
True, true.
Did you ever want to quit, Chef?
Many times, many times. I remember that at one point when we were not doing so well, and a former colleague called me and said, "Okay, you know what? You are one of our very good employees. Would you take this offer? This offer, we are willing to give you 3-4 times what you used to get, and we are willing to go in with your own terms. Tell us you can come in for 2 hours and walk away." And I sat down and I said, "You know what? There's no chance that someone is going to pay me this kind of money, 200,000-300,000 shillings, and ask me to come in for 2 hours. They will demand value for that money.
Yeah.
So it's not possible that they are going to ask me to come in for 2 hours and let me go." they will demand for more of my time. And since I put a lot of my time in building a business, I will not quit. I will fight. Times were hard. And I expect that since you've been in business like myself, you've gone through those hard times. There are times that you do not know how you're going to pay your rent, how you're going to pay your staff. That happens. And you have sleepless nights. Yes. And you know, the staff don't know that. They expect their pay at the end of the day.
And once they're paid, nobody is going to ask you, did you pay your rent, Sheila, this month?
No.
Did you pay electricity? And you can't even have these conversations with them either.
Absolutely.
Because again, you started this race, so you're responsible for it. Good Lord, Chef, the lessons that I have learned and the lessons that I'm hearing from you, this is such a precious conversation. You do realize we must continue with this again. It cannot end in one sitting.
I agree.
Do you agree?
I agree. I totally agree. I mean, these are things that we all will go through as entrepreneurs. We all agree that we need to learn from each other. And some of the lessons that we learn from each other are priceless. They're not in the books. You will not go and read a book and it tells you everything that you need to do. I don't think a book is going to tell you that you need to respect your staff to a level where you respect their opinion, even when their opinions are not what you thought.
Right.
This thing comes with power. It comes with a lot of power, and you have all of a sudden become like a god in that place. But are you able to come down to a level where you can listen to them and get the negative opinion and still treat it well?
Finally, I would like us to look at one more aspect of business and life lessons: competition, and especially copying. We are living in a society where if one person comes up with a certain business and it seems to be working, everybody decides we're going to do the same thing. And I know for sure you have seen your share of copycats.
Yes, absolutely.
How do you rise above that? How do you still, you know, keep running and keep killing it and keep starring in the sky?
That's so easy.
Full of people saying, but I've also got the same shine.
No, actually, that's very easy because you have the dream. You are the one who understands where you are taking that thing. If someone copies, they will copy and they will reach a point where they will not go beyond what they copied. Because they will always have to wait for you to do something for them to copy, because they don't understand the whole thing. So it's usually very easy. You stick to your game, understand where you're going, don't get distracted, just move on. And keep yourself around with people who you respect. Because one of the things that I do respect are my employees. My managers, I keep telling them every day, sometimes they don't believe it, but they think I am this wise guy who comes up with wonderful ideas. But the truth is, actually, most of those ideas are theirs.
Right.
I only know how to twist it to look like it's my own idea.
You are such a funny chef. But you know, you've learned a lot, and there's still more to learn from you. We request that you return one of these days and sit with us right here at the Waterfront, Karen, and continue with this epic journey called the business of life.
Thank you.
Asante sana, Chef Obado. You do have 3 branches. Ebu, tell people where those branches are right now.
Well, we have Moya Avenue branch. We have the Nkrumah Lane on Tumaini House. And then we have our latest, which is on Kenyatta Avenue. Yeah. And please come in and try our new menu. Our new menu is an Instagram menu.
We love it. It is Cafe Deli. Follow me on all my social media sites. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to post all those links to the Cafe Deli. Whew, treats that are waiting for you. It is like nothing you have ever experienced. Chef, asante sana. Mungu akubariki.
Karibu sana.
Na tutaketi tena.
No problem at all. You remember, you're always my favorite TV personality.
You are just the best, Chef Obado. In fact, I'm thinking our 4th location for Cafe Deli should be right here at the Waterfront, Karen.
We've already discussed it.
I am loving it. I am loving it. The future is looking bright. Thank you for catching up with us on this episode of Sheila Lives Out Loud. As always, please click subscribe, hit notifications. You'll never miss an episode when we upload. Saying goodbye from the Waterfront, Karen. Please live out loud in everything you do and try out the new menu from Cafe Deli.